Our speakers today are Kirk Moquin from ERC and Rachael Rekart, VP of Customer Success at Soul Machines. Kirk Moquin is a co-founder and executive chairman of Enhanced Resource Centers. ERC is an agile, technology-driven company that provides business process outsourcing for Fortune 500 companies. With its workforce of 7,000 plus employees spanning across 3 continents, ERC delivers digital, multi-channel customer journey solutions for its clients. He is also the co-founder and managing partner of KMMT Capital, which is a boutique investment firm that provides growth capital and strategic advice for early-stage businesses. The firm has made numerous investments in industries such as financial services, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, data analytics, payment processing, and commercial real estate. Kirk was awarded the prestigious Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year 2010 award in the financial services category for the state of Florida. Rachael Rekart is VP of Customer Success at Soul Machines. She is an AI leader and an active evangelist of human-machine augmentation for the future of engagement. As head of the customer success team at Soul Machines, her mission is to fuel prominent business growth and distinguished reputation by enabling success for all Soul Machines clients globally. She earned her master's in psychology from Pepperdine University and has a background in international business. And now we will play a short video giving background on Soul Machines. We will also be playing another short video at the end of the webinar that will showcase different use cases.
We spent years researching and developing our Human OS platform, which is powered by a digital brain. This enables our digital people to process complex information, take input, and respond accordingly, creating an unparalleled customer engagement experience. Soul Machines provides unparalleled AGI to autonomously animate digital people as the ultimate platform for human-machine collaboration.
Today, I'm speaking with Kirk Moquin, co-founder and executive chairman of Enhanced Resource Centers. ERC is one of the top international business process outsourcing companies and full-service provider for every aspect of the customer lifecycle. Founded in 1999, ERC is a privately held, Florida-headquartered company with approximately 7,000 employees worldwide in locations spanning 3 continents. Let's get started learning about ERC and their digital people vision. Hi, Kirk. Thanks for joining me today.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
So I know we're in 2021 now and it's a new year, new me, but I think the only place to really start is still with the pandemic. We know it's affecting business everywhere, and it's also, though, been an unexpected catalyst for rapid transformation. And I think both are true in the BPO industry. So can you tell me about some of the challenges and opportunities ERC has seen over this past year?
Sure. Challenges, the initial ones were the obvious ones where, starting late February to kind of mid-March, we saw rolling lockdowns in 5 countries, which are all of them that we operate in. So we went from a completely brick and mortar workforce to a completely virtual workforce in 5 countries within a couple weeks. So that certainly was challenging. Fortunately for us, luck, I guess a little bit. We started working on a work from home model the previous fall. We hired in the right executives and we actually landed a few client projects. So for us, even though it was still a heavy lift to kind of shift everyone virtually, fortunately, we already built the infrastructure, had the training done. So we were a little bit ahead of the game in that from that standpoint. So it worked well. Those are the challenges. The opportunities we saw was a lot of competitors didn't have as much success deploying, work from home strategy as quickly and nimbly as others did. And so where we saw opportunity was where literally competitors couldn't take the volume they used to have, couldn't answer the phones. So we took that excess capacity and, further strengthened client relationships and kind of grew it from there. So we had a really, really good year overall in spite of the pandemic and and all the kind of the nastiness that came with it. And I would just say the other biggest challenge for us, even though, again, we've done a good job working virtually, it's just been people still want to be around people. So as well as we deploy things virtually, and there's still, I think, you're going to have this different mix of what work is once we come out of it, because clearly we're always going to have this work from home component now. What percentage of our workforce, we don't know yet. It obviously gives us huge advantages for additional capacity in locations we already exist without having to get more space. But I'd be lying if I said I think this long now into the pandemic, it's tough for companies if they haven't been trying to bring, at least some people back in via social distancing and masking and being responsible, just losing that collaboration. I mean, I'm a huge technologist. We're a pretty innovative company. However, I don't think the tech's there quite yet to completely remove and eliminate some of the nuances you get from seeing someone face to face or kind of feeling that energy and what have you. So I still think that's still probably the biggest challenge for us, and I think for probably a lot of companies getting through this.
And just like, you guys were ahead of the curve on transitioning to work from home, ERC is known as an early adopter, especially in the new technology space. Tell me about some of the investment strategies you're focusing on to transform the customer experience through technology.
Sure, absolutely. Like we started our journey way back and I guess investing heavily in what we call kind of exponential technologies. AI has been around for, 60 years, but it seems to become the biggest buzzword there is now the last few years. And for me, I'll go back to like October of 2014. I belonged to this entrepreneur organization called YPO, and we went to this think tank called Singularity in Palo Alto, California. And for 10 days, I had my mind blown away. So after coming back from 10 days of being immersed in AI and machine learning and robotics and synthetic biology and all these incredible technologies where these weren't people teaching us saying, hey, we think maybe this is coming. Like I distinctly remember people warning us, all of this is coming and you can choose to either get ahead of it or watch your business get slaughtered. So I chose to get ahead of it. So I remember coming back from that 10-day meeting and I'm meeting with a lot of my executives, and a lot of them thought I was kind of crazy and lost it. But my partner and CEO, Marty Sarn, was the only guy that said, okay. And we literally I shared all the notes, downloaded my brain. We started collaborating, and that's probably early 15 when we really rewrote the vision for ERC as far as how we wanted to build it. And we still say it today. It's like we're a 21-year-old startup, because that's a mentality you have to adopt. And so we started investing in AI and machine learning specifically early in 15. We started with creating what we call is EVA, ERC's virtual agents, where we literally partnered with a tech firm and created the first real virtual agent. We deployed it kind of in the recovery side of the BPO spectrum. And along with that, for us, as big as we are in contact center management, we have a very, very large portfolio of consumers that we've collected tons and tons of data on. So we decided to refine a lot of our modeling for segmentation and stratification purposes via machine learning, and we made a ton of mistakes along the way. And that's the one thing that we found is you always know if companies investing in this kind of tech when they kind of talk about their journey. Because if anyone thinks it's linear and it's easy, I don't think that's the case. Like I've never seen a bad PowerPoint before. They'll look great. Going to execute is the harder thing. So we have the war scars and the challenges and the frustrations. And I think it took learning from those experiences. You kind of adopt almost a research and development mindset. It's like you almost have to have a scientist brain where a lot of this stuff, you don't know how it's going to end up. You have a thesis, you have a hypothesis, but you don't know how it's going to end regardless of how many smart people you have. So when we started building all this with AI and machine learning, we just kept, one of the things I do is just continue to try and stay in front of what else is out there. I mean, I've got way smarter people than me that I work with, but I definitely try and bring that to the table. And I think that's one thing that's become really viral at ERC is now, instead of just me, there's 10 people that are looking at all this technology that's kind of out there right now. And we think it's the greatest time to be alive, the most exciting time to be alive. And as we continue to investigate startups and new tech, I still remember the first time I met your company, Rachel, this was probably 2017. actually at just a small tech show. And I remember seeing it all and being like, blew me away, like, what is this? And we weren't ready for it yet in our journey. And I think you guys were still kind of, bolstering the tech you guys had. And then I kind of kept an eye on Soul Machines for a while, because it's like, man, if you guys can execute what you guys are doing or kind of finish off what you've started, I thought that was going to be the next big disruptor in the contact center space. And then I ran into your company again in January of 20 and really saw how far the tech came. And that's when, for me, it wasn't really a tough thing. It was just obvious that this is the future, or at least a big part of what, what's called omnichannel. I think it really comes down to just preferences for customers. Customers want a menu because depending on their age, demographic, where they're from, people have a myriad of ways that they feel comfortable communicating to their brands. And so I'm not insinuating that I think all jobs are going to go away and digital humans are going to take over. No, Not at all. However, I think there's a segment of the population of customer base that will love communicating with digital humans for so many different reasons. And I think for us, when we took a look at that technology, we not only thought about where the benefits are for our clients and their customers, but we also kind of looked at the organization and said, what else can we do now to really improve, drive efficiencies, make it a more seamless process for our employees? And that's when things got interesting. We start tapping into HR, especially recruiting, especially training and continual training modules for, managers, agents, and it's kind of snowballed from there. So yeah, we're pretty bullish on this, and we think we're pretty excited to be at the front of the line, and we just are interested. And I wish I could fast forward a year from now to kind of see where it's going to go, just because we do think this really is the bleeding edge tech that people kind of talk about, but very few times it's backed up, and we think this time it's getting backed up.
I think 2017 is when I first got involved in this technology as a customer at my previous company. And so we might have been at that same conference having that same experience of like, oh my gosh, this is the future. How exciting. So I love to hear that. Let's touch on omnichannel, because you've mentioned that too in past conversations. You said something that stuck with me. You said omnichannel is already an old word. So tell me more about that and about your thinking on the overall customer experience and engagement expectations of the future.
Yeah, I think omnichannel is an old word, like a lot of things, like, CSAT, Net Promoter Score. These are metrics that I'm not saying aren't relevant, but they came from a time where the technology it was just a different era. And even with omnichannel, maybe that's 5 years old, that buzzword, but 5 years in today's day and age with how fast tech is going is a long, long time ago. And so when I say omnichannel is old, I just mean, like, clients don't want to hear about omnichannel. Clients want help with determining, hey, what does really the voice of my customer mean? Because that's something else people talk about a lot. Well, there's tools and tech out there now that you can use to really do the analysis and analytics with, speech analysis and NLP and NLU to determine what really is the sentiment of that customer. And I think once you start understanding what a client's customer wants are, or how they prefer to communicate, or how they prefer to receive information, instead of possibly just giving them 10 different things, you're going to be able to start prioritizing to Kirk Moquin based on everything we know, based on the context we have. Here's probably his top 3 most probable avenues. And in today's day and age, and especially the younger generation, people are just growing up in a different era where it's now immediate. We've got these things that people used to call smartphones. They're brain extension devices. Like, that's what these are now. Yeah. And I think, if you start thinking of things that way, I think it's just easy for us to extrapolate and then try and come up with just the best service you can provide clients, customers, because I think that's where the game's going to be won and lost. Like, the tools are all there. It's how are you going to tie them together? What kind of ecosystem are you going to build? And for us, as much as we deploy lots of technology employees and experts and everything, we're not a tech company. So I think it's really important who you choose your partnerships with, because the tech is out there. And for me to go and try and build some of the technology would be crazy, because it cost me 3 times as much, it takes 5 times as long as it would a company like yours, who that's your only focus. You've got the people to do it. So I think it's just a balancing of all that, Rachel.
Omnichannel has become the expectation, not the goal. The goal is experience now, right? So let's dive in a little bit more into your partnerships and specifically, right, your partnership with Soul Machines. So talk to me about Eva and the future digital people within your organization and how you plan on getting there.
Sure. Eva is, Eva started out, she was born a couple years ago, and she was ERC's virtual agent. She is Eva. We partnered with a different tech company, and we really created an AI-based virtual agent that can have full conversations, understands questions from consumers. And initially, we built her purely for call deflection. There was, we took a look at, we analyzed all the different types of phone calls coming into our centers. We said, okay, which are the easiest ones that we could automate so we could free up our resources to handle higher value, interactions. So what we did is we studied them. We found the 5 or 6 transactions that, pretty much flood our contact centers that we deemed as not to be productive calls. And so we literally just trained Eva how to speak to those consumers, what the right answers are. And for us, because we're in such a, regulated industry, we have millions and millions of recorded phone calls. You convert them to, from, voice to text, and that's how Eva learns. And so, and you can also cure and you train her based on some of your best agents and how they handle things. So for us, it was really a call deflection strategy. It's driven a lot of, efficiency to our floors, and we certainly are providing better service for our clients. So then that was the start of Eva as kind of the virtual agent. So now as Eva's evolving, and now she's being kind of created into her, a digital human form. Eva, the virtual agent, won't go away. That will certainly be another one of those avenues to have the experience for a customer that might not want to speak to a digital human, doesn't want to speak to a real human, but still wants to do something really fast. So Eva, the virtual agent, isn't going anywhere, but we believe each Eva, the digital human, is going to have a much bigger presence and much more impact than her predecessor.
And what kind of impact? Where are you hoping to make the most impact in this space?
We think what we think it's going to drive a lot more engagement from customers interacting with us. And engagement specifically meaning they're not going to have to opt out to speak to a human, not because we're anti-humans, but because most people want it done fast and they just want it done right. Some of the interactions when customers are calling in, they don't want to speak to a human because it might be an embarrassing question, embarrassing situation, something they don't want to speak to someone else about. So again, we believe if you've got a really good digital human, they're going to interact more with them and feel better about it and have a better experience, which means they have a better image of the brand, they have a better image of us, kind of everyone wins. So for us, we're really looking to raise the bar on the engagement side, engagement specifically meaning customers contacting us and actually being able to have a positive experience with a digital human.
Let's go back to early adoption and early adopters. What advice do you have for early adopters in the BPO industry in general?
My advice is that I have a couple different pieces of advice. One, if you're not doing it, you need to start doing it now because your business will get disrupted. Number one. Number two, it's not as easy as snapping your fingers and saying, okay, we're early adopters now. Like, what does that mean? It is a mindset, and you have to get buy-in, and you have to have the right culture and environment in order to really execute that. And I used the word earlier, I said something became viral. That's probably the best way to describe it because at least from my experience at ERC, it started with just, started real small with just a couple of us. And then once you educated everyone, once you helped, get everyone to kind of rewrite what the vision is, and once you teach them, hey, here are the types of tools that are out there. Let's look at our business and say, why do we do those things? And the answer shouldn't be because that's the way we always done them. Because when you created a process, you created it with certain tools that are available. Well, the tools that are available today are mind-blowing if you have your head in the sand and you don't really understand the capabilities. But that's where it's like, if you make it your business to learn, and that's the other part too, it's like no one came in and taught us all this stuff. No one said, hey, go here, go here. Like, you don't learn it through osmosis. It's like, you've got to be a voracious reader. You got to watch tons of videos. You have to be passionate about it and want to learn about it. And I think that was the other thing, because then once you do, and what we found is we changed our vision. We definitely have a moonshot now, and it's not easy. It's not supposed to be. We were able to attract incredibly talented people, even more so than we had before, because people want to take on tough projects with cool technology and do something that no one's done before. And so, that would be my pieces of advice to people if they want to become an early adopters. Like, don't be a big talker, a big poser. Like, go do something about it. And the other thing we had to learn the hard way, Rachel, was you can't just look for an ROI right away on this exponential technology. It's just not going to happen. Like, again, if it was that easy, everyone would do it.
Right.
You have to, we literally look at it as research and development. And there's a lot of things you learn from your mistakes. And sometimes you learn more from your mistakes than you do when things go the right way. And we have a lot of experience. So we have certainly invested a lot of money, and we have a much longer, view on the business, and we look at things long term. And it's not that we don't want an ROI, but we've learned over the years from all this technology. If you look at it that way, a lot of times you're going to scrap things before you put in the amount of effort, the amount of resources, the amount of iterations you need to make in order for it truly to start working the way you want it to.
Yeah, I think that's so key, right? Part of being an early adopter is understanding your trajectory, your timeline, not quitting, not doing a POC. Oh, that didn't give us everything we thought we wanted, so let's pivot. You're an early adopter because you're getting in on the ground floor.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So I want to dive in a little bit more to your I'm going to call it your evolution in terms of where are you starting with Eva? Where do you see her going, or digital people in ERC in general, if you're going to create more than one? What does that roadmap or plan look like?
Sure. Yeah, we definitely have several use cases already in mind. And I think there's, a subset of the next 5 or 10 after. But we're starting the first iteration of our digital human with Eva is going to be our sales evangelist. She is going to exist on our website, and she's kind of going to be the front and center and face of ERC for new prospects or even current clients. It just goes along the line with, our clients are familiar with how innovative we are. They're familiar with how much we invest into research and development, all these technologies. So we thought that was a good place to kind of introduce her to the world and the industry from our standpoint. Once she's deployed there's a lot of other applications we're going to use internally, whether it's HR function, like I mentioned. We're going to get her involved with, recruiting, just because, we're not a huge contact center. We're not we have over 7,000 employees. So for us in 5 different countries, and we're growing pretty rapidly. So for us, a big challenge and stress point for us is constantly trying to find and hire good people. So we think there's a lot of applications to help our recruiting team to really weed through, vet through, and find the right people for humans and to speak to and make sure they're the right person to hire. So she's going to help in the recruiting side. And then in the training side, there's so many different use cases for both training brick and mortar, whether it's initial training or certain modules of a 2 or 3 week training class. So again, maybe you don't need to have as big a training team. You can maybe have a little bit less and have better people, more higher quality people. And then I think the use cases for the digital human and virtual training for the work from home presence that we'll continue to have even post COVID, that's also super, super powerful because it just kind of goes hand in hand. It's a lot easier than from, scheduling, workforce management. Sometimes you got a workforce management training classes because you have 500 or 600 people working from home in training classes. It's really, really challenging logistically to have the training coverage and the overlap and everything you need to have. So that's just going to make it not only easier for us, but it'll be better for our employees. And then, ultimately then, you take Eva, the digital human, all the way, and she becomes that end all be all agent. Okay. Where again, we don't think humans are going away, but where we're going to take the industry is we're going to create super agents, and super agents are going to be the human beings, but they're going to be the creme de la creme, the top of the top. And that's where we see, automation helping everyone. We're not looking to get rid of jobs, but if anything, if we need to hire 7,000 more people, maybe we only need to hire 3,000 more humans, because we can handle the other workload through digital humans. But those 3,000 humans I'm going to be able to hire, I'm going to be able to pay a lot more because I'm driving so many efficiencies in my business. You don't just pocket all that money you make. You invest it back in your company. If you can pay people a lot more, give them even better benefits and better career opportunities, your attrition rate's going to drop tremendously, which is always the hardest thing in the contact center industry for agents. You're always battling attrition. So that's a way to kind of change the game. And that's part of, what we see happening over time.
Yeah. I love the plan, especially to start where you are introducing your company as an innovator, as an early adopter right out the gate, like first impression for people as they say, like, who is ERC? As you're having that first sales call or that first recruitment talk, you're showing them this is who we are, right? We're at the forefront of this. And then I especially love the training use case, because using digital people for active learning, to actually engage in a conversation for one-to-one training is so much more powerful to help with learning, to keep engagement, to teach your people and help them feel connected to what they're doing as well. So
absolutely. In addition, like with training, what I mean too, is not just initial training. Like we see all these applications for continual training. You want a module on getting into the compliance area? Great. Here's an introduction. Here's what it takes. Here's what it means. Or you want to learn better to be an agent with different skills. Like we just see that endless with just a library of different modules you could use at various times throughout the day or what have you. And so, I'm a big believer in lifelong learning. And I think if you can provide the access and the ability to do that, people are going to take advantage of it way more than I think a lot of people realize.
All right. Thanks, Kirk. And before we go, we've got a couple of questions here in the chat from our audience. So first question is, when do you expect Eva to go live? When can people start interacting with her?
Yeah, we are going to have Eva go live in April.
And you spoke to multiple use cases. Are you planning on using Eva for all of them, or do you have a plan for that yet?
Yeah, good question. We are still debating that internally, to be determined. So we don't know if we'll have, another name to the family, if Eva will have an identical sister. Don't know yet.
Okay, well, that was really great, Kirk. Thank you so much for your time and taking the time to speak with me today. And I'm very excited to see Eva in all of her forms going forward, and look forward to the continued partnership. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rachel. My pleasure.